3:59. Here's.
We are rolling.
Hey, it's Friday. I'm David Esrati. I'm the Democratic candidate for Ohio 10. That includes Montgomery County, Greene County, and parts of Clark County. So, when you run for Congress, all of a sudden, all these people crawl out of the woodwork and start giving you advice. They all know how to do this. I even talked to some of the candidates who've run before and heard how they were told how to do this. Now, just remember two things. One, no one's ever come any closer than 12 percentage points to Mike Turner. This district has been kind of red on purpose for a long time. In fact, most of Ohio has been gerrymandered. And two, they're telling me how to do what I do for a living, which is marketing and advertising. I got bad news for you. I'm pretty good at it, and I know a little bit about it, and there's reasons why I do things that they might not understand. But I'm going to share with you some of the advice I've gotten. So the first one, this is really why Mike Turner and I are pretty much polar opposites and hate each other. You see, way back in February of 1995, I used to go to the city commission meetings all the time, and I went and I took a large visual. Didn't have any numbers filled out at first, and it said it was a Dayton City trash collector's time card. And it had how they were working for basically 30 hours, but getting paid for, by the time they were all done, 56. But before I could finish filling this out, I got cut off because they had a 3-minute time limit. I said the quote for the week is, "Figuring overtime can be fun and creative." And basically, the make out and quit meant if the guys ran behind their trucks and got it done, they were done. So they'd go Monday through Friday and be done in 6 hours, 7 tops, get paid for 8. Each day there were 2 extra hours. Then they'd show up in my neighborhood on a Saturday and only work for about 4 and get paid for 8 at time and a half. So they're getting paid 56 hours or so a week. This scared some people in the union and who knows what else, because the following Monday they had a meeting, a work session, something I'd never heard of even though I'd been going to city commission meetings forever. And at that work session they had 29 ways to make sure that citizens couldn't go and air their grievances without jumping through a whole bunch more hoops, because they don't really work for you, they work for themselves and the contractors who pay for their campaigns. So a reporter went to that meeting and she faxed me, she said, "Well, what do you think of the discussion at the commission meeting today?" "What commission meeting? Commission meetings are on Wednesday. This is fun." She saw the work session. I said, "I don't know anything about a work session. This was pre-internet and everything else." And she faxes me this list of 29 ways to shut off the cameras and everything else. And my quote in the paper the next day was, "It's pretty obvious they don't want to see the faces of the people they represent." So I called the police chief that evening. I said, "I'm going to go to the meeting. I'm going to sit in my normal spot. And once the meeting starts, I'm going to don a mask, because obviously they don't want to see my face. I'm not going to show it, but I'm still going to get up and speak." And he says, "You do whatever you want." So the next meeting comes, I come sit in my normal spot. I got this huge time card. They all know who I am. Stand for the invocation, sit down, and then the meeting begins. And there's somebody, a guest speaker at the podium, which is good because the camera over there goes right across the podium and you could see me. And I calmly and quietly grab out of my pocket a black balaclava that I had from the Army. I take my glasses off like this, and I pull that balaclava on, and I look like this, and I put my glasses back on, and all of you know what happens now when you wear a mask and have glasses, they fog up. And I'm sitting perfectly still, making sure that I don't get shot by any police officers. Now, this is pre-9/11, and they weren't quite so jumpy, but, you know, there are some people that had worn things like this, like in the Munich Olympics back in 72. So the mayor, Mike Turner, starts laughing at first, and the person at the podium says, "Well, should I stop? He's like, no. And he calls over Maureen Perot, who's the acting city manager, and pss, 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 pss. She walks the back. The police major walks up to me and says, David, he knows who I am. Can you step outside and talk to me? I say, sure, Major Stusek, and we go out and we talk. He said, can you take the mask off? I said, sure. He says, you can't wear that mask in the meeting. I said, excuse me? There's a law against what kind of headgear you are allowed to wear in there? Because certainly if there's a law, some of those hats that Bootsy Neal has worn, those have to be breaking some laws. He says, I'm going to have to arrest you. I said, for what? He says, well, I don't know. I've just been told you can't wear that mask in the commission meeting. I said, well, Mark, this is America. And we have this thing called the First Amendment, and it protects us as citizens from making political statements, and part of those are symbolic speech, and they're protected. And I'm going to go back and sit down. I'm going to put the mask on, and I'm going to sit there and wait for my turn to speak. It's pretty obvious they don't want to see the faces of the people they represent, and really you should be arresting them for having an illegal secret meeting. I go back, sit down, and once again, I take my glasses off, and I pull the mask on. And I put my glasses back through the hole, and I start breathing, and my glasses start steaming up, and I'm not moving around or anything. And this time, the police chief, Ron Lowe, Major Stusek, and 2 officers come over and said, David, can you step outside? I walk with them. I said, can you take off the mask? I said, no. I'm making a symbolic statement. It's protected by the First Amendment. This is a public meeting. There is no law against headgear in this commission meeting. I'm not disturbing anything. And you should be arresting them for having an illegal secret meeting. He says, I don't care about that. He says, you can't go in there wearing that. I said, I'm pretty sure if I was a black Muslim woman wearing a hijab, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation. And he doesn't respond at all. And by this time, the TV cameras are there. And he says, you can't go in there. I said, or what? He said, I'm going to arrest you. I said, can you tell me on what charges? He says, I don't know. So I take a giant step backwards into the commission chambers, across the threshold. Turn around, put your hands behind the back, put the handcuffs on, take the mask off. And I take a nice ride in the back of a police cruiser down to the jail where I spent about 5.5 hours. Then the lawsuits begin, and it took a long time, and I won all of them. Mike Turner is a lawyer, but apparently he didn't pass constitutional law, which is one of the reasons he's probably still not really good as a congressman. So, after all those 2.5 years of court cases, and the first one should have been decided a lot earlier, but Judge Dan Garris, who is an absolute embarrassment, took almost 12 months from the day I was arrested to issue his warning. He gave me 2 weeks before and issue his decision. And what his decision was my entire brief copied back with 2 lines added by him at the end. So I filed my federal case saying a civil rights violation. And then the city appealed because they had to do it within 30 days. I had to file within 2 weeks. Cost us a lot of money. Dan Garris is a political party hack. His son, Marty Garris, is a political party hack. He's now your clerk of courts. And after all that, I got another little sign to display. This one, I don't know if you'll even be able to see it all, but it's $100,000 that they paid mostly to my lawyers, admitting that they had screwed up. So, the newspaper, which has never been my friend, or your friend for that matter, they wrote an article the day after I was arrested, and it was all wrong. Had all the facts wrong, and they had to rewrite it the next day. And basically, somehow I became the ninja, as if I ran into the city commission meeting throwing shuriken and screaming bonsai and attacking people. Farthest thing from the truth. But over the years, people, he wore that ninja mask, and, he did this and he did that. They have no idea why or what the reason was. But, I've got a little bit of street cred. I've been on more basketball courts in this city than most. In fact, I've been on pretty much all of them, hanging free basketball nets over the last 8 or 10 years. I've hung over 600 nets. And I've been in every barber shop in this city and every church basement. And for fun, I made a sticker that says, Esrati, he's my ninja. Now, I get told, oh no, you're going to lose the black vote because you are now saying he's my ninja, and that's a takeoff on that N-word that nobody's allowed to say. I'm sorry, ninja is a legitimate word in the English language, and it means a warrior who sneaks stealthily around and inflicts damage on the opposition. And the opposition in this case is the establishment that I like to call the monarchy of Montgomery County, which is the two political parties that have everything rigged to decide who gets to run for what and when. They have been screwing you for years. I am not a traditional thinker. I am not a traditional candidate. I've filed lawsuits to protect you, making sure that politicians hold meetings correctly, not in violation of the Sunshine Laws. And I've even started a nonprofit called Reconstructing Dayton, which is a 501c4, in order to try to bring Unigov so we can get rid of all these little banana republics and ridiculous organizations like Jefferson Township Schools, where they have a superintendent and a treasurer and only 400 students. Excuse me, that's barely an elementary school. And you need a superintendent? We've got to get more efficient with the use of our tax dollars right here in Dayton, Ohio, and throughout the state of Ohio, because the lines we drew on the map back in 1785, dividing this state up into 44 and then 88 counties, don't have any relationship to where people live today. We could have countywide government for urban areas, and rural areas could have townships, because that's what it was set up to be. But now it's all wonkered up. So that's one piece of advice I've been getting. You got to ditch the he's my ninja. I also get told that I'm definitely screwing up because, you know, I'm angry. Well, hell yeah, I'm angry. You'd be angry too if the taxpayers had to foot a bill for Mike Turner's stupidity and ignorance of the law. You'd be angry too if Mohammed Al-Hamdani is, before he's even sworn into the Dayton School Board, is having secret illegal meetings and you film it all, and Judge Dick Skelton doesn't ever let you get anything into court. You'd be angry too if the library threw you out for taking photos, perfectly legal, and then refuses to turn over the video files from their security systems for over 2 years, and I had to file in federal court all by myself because lawyers are afraid to go up against the monarchy. And I settled for $40,000 on my own. I currently have a case against the Board of Elections for their illegal agendas that they file. And then I've got this other case that nobody wants to talk about, but it's a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act request, asking for the tapes that were played to the grand jury of Nan Whaley doing kind of questionable business. Someone said, well, you should drop that case now. Well, hell no. If I drop that case, I'm just like the rest of these people. I am a fighter. I fight for what is right. And hopefully, before the November election, we're going to hear those tapes that were made, probably by Commissioner Williams, who became a confidential informant in 2015. I've got this on my blog. And then got to run as basically a felon who had agreed that he had committed a felony, who had become a confidential informant. He ran for office, got elected with an agreement that he would step down if he got reelected. That cost you and I a lot of money, and it should have cost some FBI agents their jobs, because we talk about meddling in elections and Russians and stealing the vote. Running somebody who can't fulfill their office because they're a felon that committed crimes in office, yeah, I'm angry. And I know for a fact those tapes show that Nan Whaley was also doing something, because Dayton's not that big. And one of the members of the grand jury told me they heard those tapes. And I think you and I have a right to hear them too. So there's lots of advice you can give me. And I'm told that once they finally get around to it, the DCCC, and the DNC and the Ohio Party, they'll all try to tell me how to run a campaign too. Not that they've had a great amount of success at winning, spending $2 million on Desiree Tim's campaign and only coming within 14 points. But, you know, they know it all. So, thank you for watching. Hopefully you've subscribed and you've hit the little notify bell so you'll know when I come on the next time. Hopefully you'll go over to electesrati.com and either volunteer on the /ACT page, or you'll make a donation at the donate page to help me move the message forward that the political parties that have been screwing you for years are not going to let you be screwed if I get elected. I'm going to work for small businesses. I'm going to work for those who can't fight for themselves. I'm going to make sure that insulin costs the same amount here as it does in Canada and every other industrialized country, because if you continue to vote Republican, you're going to kill more Americans, and that's unacceptable. Thank you very much for watching. I'm David Esrati, and I hope to be your congressman after November 8th. In the meantime, stay tuned and keep the faith and trust that this is not going to be your normal, boring campaign. No other congressman or candidate is doing a daily live stream, and I appreciate you for watching it. Leave your questions for the next one on Monday in comments if you want, and thank you so much and have a great weekend. Thank you.